The crash of expensive porcelain shattered the kitchen's frantic rhythm. Graham Wexford stood over the broken shards like a predator. His polished shoes were inches from Declan's trembling hands. Everyone froze, eyes darting between the tyrant and the dishwasher. Declan looked down, hiding eyes that held too many secrets. In this hotel, poverty was a crime punished by public screaming. But Graham didn't know who was really scrubbing his floors. He didn't see the dormant power waiting behind the dirty apron. Sienna watched from the doorway, her heart hammering against her ribs. She saw a man being broken, but she sensed something else. A storm was gathering in the silence of the luxury hotel. Keep your eyes on the man on the floor. Things are not always what they seem in the shadows. Don't look away, because the reckoning starts now. The dinner rush was a beast that swallowed the weak whole. Declan moved with the mechanical precision of a machine. His hands were red, raw from the scalding industrial water. A tray of vintage china sat precariously on the wet counter. Graham Wexford bumped the table as he stormed past. The stack wobbled, gravity took hold, and the world slowed. Ceramic exploded against the tile with a violent, deafening crack. Silence swept through the kitchen like a sudden frost. Wexford spun around, his face twisting into theatrical rage. He didn't ask what happened, he only saw his target. "You clumsy, worthless waste of space," he spat loudly. The chefs turned away, terrified of becoming collateral damage. Declan dropped to his knees to pick up the jagged pieces. A sharp shard sliced his thumb, blood blooming bright red. He didn't wince, he just stared at the ruined white plate. "That plate costs more than you make in a month," Graham sneered. He kicked a piece of porcelain toward Declan's bowed head. "I should make you eat the pieces just to teach you." The humiliation was a physical weight, pressing Declan into the floor. Graham laughed, a cold sound that stripped Declan of dignity. But Declan's jaw tightened, a muscle jumping in his cheek. He wasn't praying for mercy, he was calculating the cost. From the service doors, Sienna felt a surge of nausea. She gripped her tray, knuckles turning white with suppressed anger. She knew Declan was careful, she knew Graham was cruel. The injustice burned in her chest like a swallowed coal. She wanted to scream, but she needed this job too much. Poverty is a gag that silences the best of us. But her eyes met Declan's for a split second. He saw the pity there, and it hurt more than the cut. He didn't want her pity, he wanted to protect her. Graham loomed over him, checking his expensive gold watch. "Clean it up, trash, or get out of my hotel." The ultimatum hung in the greasy air, heavy and sharp. "Do you stay and bleed, or do you leave and starve?" Declan picked up another shard, his decision made in silence. The blood from his thumb mixed with the soapy water on the floor. It swirled into a pink drain, unseen by the elite upstairs. Every scrub of the brush was a promise he made to himself. He wasn't just cleaning a mess, he was biding his time. The staff went back to work, eyes averted in shame. They were grateful it wasn't them, but they felt the fear. In a place like this, you are only one mistake away. Declan stood up, towering over the mess, though he hunched his shoulders. He looked at Graham's retreating back with a terrifying calm. The dishwasher had a secret that could buy and sell them all. But the timing had to be perfect, like a well-cooked meal. He wrapped his bleeding hand in a dirty rag. The pain was grounding, a reminder of why he was here. He wasn't done yet, the game had just begun. Sienna waited until the kitchen chaos subsided into a hum. She slipped a clean bandage from her pocket, hidden from view. The loading dock was cold, smelling of rain and exhaust fumes. Declan was there, staring at the city skyline's distant lights. He jumped when he heard her soft footsteps behind him. "You're bleeding," she whispered, offering the small white strip. "It's nothing," he grunted, turning his shoulder to hide it. She stepped closer, invading the wall he built around himself. "Let me see, Declan. Infection costs more than a bandage." Her hands were warm, contrasting with the chill of the night. She peeled back the dirty rag, revealing the angry cut. He looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time. She wasn't looking at a dishwasher, she was looking at a man. It was dangerous to be seen when you were hiding. "Why do you let him talk to you like that?" she asked. Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with frustrated care. Declan sighed, the sound rattling in his tired chest. "Some battles aren't worth fighting in the open, Sienna. He's a bully," she said, applying the bandage with gentle pressure. "Bullies only win when they think no one is watching." He wanted to tell her he was watching everything. "Thank you," he said, the words feeling rusty in his throat. She smiled, and it lit up the dreary loading dock. "We have to look out for each other, Declan. No one else will," she added, checking the door nervously. Kindness in this hotel was contraband, smuggled in dark corners. If Graham caught them, she would be the next target. He pulled his hand back, missing her touch immediately. "You should go back inside," Declan warned, stepping away. "He's on the warpath tonight. Don't let him see you." Sienna nodded, but she didn't leave just yet. "You're worth more than this place, you know," she said. The irony almost made Declan laugh, a bitter, silent sound. If she only knew how much the hotel was actually worth. "So are you, Sienna. So are you." She left him alone with the dumpster and the stars. He touched the bandage, a small badge of her bravery. It was a weakness to care, a liability in his plan. But her kindness was a spark in a room full of gas. He pulled a sleek, black phone from his hidden pocket. The screen glowed, illuminating a bank balance with many zeros. He wasn't ready to strike, but he was getting closer. The wind picked up, blowing a discarded menu across his feet. He picked it up, reading the exorbitant prices of the wine. He could buy the winery, not just the bottle. But power without knowledge was a blunt instrument. He needed to know exactly how deep the rot went. And Sienna? She was now part of the equation. He would not let the system crush the only light left. The next morning, a new memo was taped to the wall. Staff deductions for broken items effective immediately. The font was bold, aggressive, leaving no room for argument. Graham Wexford stood by the time clock, smiling like a shark. "Mistakes have a price," he announced to the weary shift. "If you break it, you bought it. At retail price." A collective gasp rippled through the gathered maids and porters. Sienna read the notice, her face paling under the fluorescent light. "A crystal glass is $50, she whispered to Declan. "That's half a day's pay," he replied, voice low and hard. "It's illegal," someone muttered from the back of the group. Graham's head snapped up, his ears tuned to dissent. "If you don't like the rules, the door is open." He pointed to the exit, daring anyone to move. Declan watched Graham's eyes scan the room for weakness. This wasn't about breakage, it was about absolute control. It was a squeeze, designed to break spirits and save pennies. Wexford was padding the margins to secure his own bonus. Declan memorized the memo, the date, and the signature. Every act of tyranny was evidence for the future trial. He kept his head down, but his mind was racing. Later, a young busboy dropped a salt shaker in the dining room. The sound was small, but the consequences were massive. Graham descended instantly, a receipt pad already in his hand. "That's $20, he barked, handing the boy the slip. The boy began to cry, terrifyingly silent tears of panic. "Please, sir, I need my rent money," he begged softly. "Should have thought of that before you were clumsy." Sienna stepped forward, unable to stop herself. "It was an accident, Mr. Wexford. It's just salt." Graham turned on her, his eyes narrowing into slits. "Charity is for the rich, Miss Marlowe. Get back to work." He tore the slip off and stuffed it into the boy's pocket. "Pay up or don't come back tomorrow," he threatened. The cruelty was the point, the money was just a bonus. Declan watched from the swinging kitchen doors, fists clenched. He saw Sienna shaking, biting her lip to stop the retort. He saw the busboy's devastation, a life derailed by $20. This was the reality of the world he had escaped. But he had returned to fix it, and the fix was coming. He walked to the back, pulling out his burner phone again. "Get me the audit logs," he texted his lawyer. The response was immediate, "Sending now." "Are you sure?" Declan looked back at the kitchen, at the fear in their eyes. "I'm sure," he typed back, "by the debt." He wasn't just going to fire Graham, he was going to dismantle him. But first, he had to endure the suffocating pressure. The rules were written for the poor, but the ink was drying. And the author of those rules was about to be edited. Graham had a sixth sense for finding the breaking point. He zeroed in on Declan, sensing a defiance he couldn't name. "The grease trap needs cleaning," Graham announced during lunch prep. "It was cleaned yesterday," the head chef ventured to say. "Do it again," Graham ordered, pointing a finger at Declan. "And use a toothbrush. I want it spotless." It was a task designed to humiliate, filthy and unnecessary. Declan took the small brush without a word of complaint. The kitchen staff watched, eyes filled with sympathetic horror. He knelt on the wet floor, the smell of rancid oil rising. Graham stood over him, sipping an espresso, watching the show. "You see?" Graham addressed the room. "This is his level. Some people are born to lead, others to scrub." Declan scrubbed, the rhythm steady, his breathing controlled. Sienna passed by with a tray of appetizers for the VIPs. She saw Declan on his knees and almost dropped the tray. She stopped, blocking Graham's view of his victim. "Table 4 needs you, Mr. Wexford," she lied smoothly. Graham glared at her, annoyed by the interruption. "I'm busy supervising incompetence," he snapped back. "It's the mayor," she added, playing her trump card. Graham straightened his tie, his vanity instantly activated. He kicked Declan's bucket, splashing dirty water on his uniform. "Don't miss a spot," he sneered before strutting away. Sienna knelt quickly, grabbing a towel to help dry Declan. "You don't have to do this," she whispered urgently. "He's trying to make you quit. Don't let him win." "I'm not quitting," Declan said, wiping grease from his face. "Why do you stay?" she asked, her eyes searching his. "You're too smart for this. I hear how you talk." Declan paused, looking at the door where Graham vanished. "I'm doing a study," he said, half-truthfully. "On what?" "The limits of human misery." She asked wryly. "On how to clean a house properly," he replied darkly. He stood up, his knees aching, his dignity bruised but intact. The grease trap was clean, shining under the harsh lights. But the stain on the hotel's soul was growing darker. Declan washed his hands, scrubbing until the skin was raw. He looked in the mirror, seeing the man he used to be. The billionaire who moved mountains with a signature. Here, he couldn't even move a manager without consequences. But the lesson was sinking in deep. He knew now what it felt like to be invisible. He knew the taste of powerlessness on his tongue. Graham thought he was breaking a dishwasher. He was actually forging a weapon that would destroy him. Declan dried his hands and walked back to the line. Tonight was the gala preparation. The stakes were rising. And Graham was about to make his biggest mistake yet. Rain lashed against the metal roof of the loading dock. Graham cornered Sienna there while she was taking out trash. The shadows were long, and the air felt heavy with threat. "You're getting too friendly with the help," he warned. Sienna stepped back, hitting the cold brick wall. "I'm just doing my job, Mr. Wexford," she stammered. "Your job is to serve guests, not save strays." He stepped closer, invading her personal space aggressively. "I see the way you look at him. It's pathetic. He's a nobody. A zero. And 0 times anything is 0. Sienna raised her chin, finding a sudden reserve of courage. "He works harder than anyone in this building," she said. Graham laughed, a harsh bark that echoed in the alley. "Hard work is for mules. Success is for lions. If I see you with him again, you're fired," he hissed. "And they'll make sure you never work in this city again." The threat was real. Graham had the connections to ruin her. Sienna felt the cold seep into her bones. She had a sick mother. She needed the insurance. Graham knew this. He preyed on desperation like a vampire. "Do we understand each other?" he demanded softly. "Yes," she whispered, looking at her shoes. "Good. Now get back inside before you catch his smell." Graham turned and walked away, leaving her shaking. She didn't see Declan standing in the deep shadows nearby. He had heard every word, his blood turning to ice. He had recorded the audio on his phone. Another nail in the coffin. Another line crossed. Declan waited until Graham was gone before stepping out. Sienna jumped, wiping tears from her cheeks furiously. "You heard?" she asked, her voice cracking. "I heard," he confirmed, his voice dangerously low. "Stay away from me, Declan. Please. I can't lose this." She pushed past him, running back into the warmth. He watched her go, a fierce protectiveness rising in him. He had planned to wait another week to finalize the deal. But seeing her fear changed the timeline. He couldn't let this terror continue for the sake of strategy. He pulled up his lawyer's contact again. "Accelerate the purchase," he typed, rain soaking the screen. "I don't care about the price. Just get it done." The loading dock was empty, but the war had been declared. The hotel was asleep, but the financial office was not. Declan used a master keycard he had found weeks ago. Technically, it was a felony. Morally, it was an audit. He slipped into the dark office, lit only by streetlights. The smell of mahogany and stale cigar smoke hung in the air. He sat at the computer, fingers flying across the keyboard. He wasn't stealing money, he was stealing the truth. He bypassed the firewall with a code he wrote himself. Years of corporate takeovers had taught him the back doors. Files open, payroll, vendor contracts, miscellaneous expenses. There it was. The skimming. The phantom employees. Graham wasn't just cruel, he was a thief. He was siphoning maintenance budgets into offshore accounts. That's why the dishwasher broke. That's why wages were low. Declan downloaded the files to an encrypted drive. The light from the screen illuminated his focused face. He looked different here, sharp, commanding, in his element. A noise in the hallway froze him in his chair. Security patrol. Heavy boots on the plush carpet. He pulled the drive, killed the screen, and slid under the desk. The beam of a flashlight swept across the room. The guard jiggled the handle, muttering about ghosts. The light passed over Declan's hiding spot by inches. Declan held his breath, his heart beating a slow rhythm. If he was caught now, it was all over. Jail, not justice. The guard moved on, the footsteps fading down the hall. Declan exhaled, crawling out from the cramped space. He had the smoking gun. Now he needed the bullet. He slipped out of the office, locking the door behind him. He returned the keycard to the lost and found box. Walking back to the staff quarters, he felt the weight of the drive. It was lighter than a plate, but heavier than gold. He passed Sienna's locker, seeing a photo of her mom. "Hold on," he whispered to the empty room. "Just a little longer." He went to the basement, to his small, shared room. He changed out of the uniform, hiding the drive in his shoe. He lay on the cot, staring at the cracked ceiling. Tomorrow was the grand ball. The investors would be there. Graham would be preening like a peacock. It was the perfect stage for a tragedy. Or a revelation. The day of the grand ball was chaotic and brutal. Everyone was on edge. One mistake meant termination. Declan was tasked with moving heavy crates of champagne. His back screamed in protest, but he kept the pace. Sienna was polishing silverware, her hands trembling slightly. She avoided Declan's eyes, remembering Graham's threat. The distance between them felt like a physical canyon. Graham was everywhere, screaming about flower arrangements. He shoved a busboy who was moving too slowly. The boy stumbled, knocking into a tower of glasses. Sienna dove, catching the tray before it hit the floor. She saved the glass, but the metal edge sliced her arm. Blood dripped onto the pristine white tablecloth. Graham stopped screaming and stared at the red stain. "You ruined the linen!" he shrieked, ignoring her injury. "That is imported silk. You clumsy, stupid girl." Sienna clutched her arm, tears welling in her eyes. "I'm sorry, I caught the glasses," she gasped. "Get out of my sight. You're off the floor tonight." "But I need the tips," she pleaded, panic setting in. "Go. Before I call security to drag you out." Declan dropped the crate of champagne with a heavy thud. The noise silenced the room. He walked toward them. "She saved the glasses, Graham," Declan said clearly. Graham spun around, his face purple with rage. "You do not speak to me. Who do you think you are?" "Someone who knows the price of silk versus skin," Declan said. The staff gasped. No one talked back to the king. "Get back to the scullery, sewer rat," Graham hissed. "And take her with you. You deserve each other." Declan looked at Sienna, seeing the shame burning her. He gently took her uninjured arm. "Come on, Sienna." He led her away from the ballroom, away from the monster. They walked to the first aid station in silence. He cleaned her wound, his hands incredibly gentle. "You shouldn't have done that," she sniffled. "He's going to fire you too." "Let him try," Declan murmured, applying a bandage. "Why are you so brave?" she asked, looking at him. "It's not bravery, Sienna. It's knowing the ending." "What ending?" she asked, confused. "The one where the good guys win," he smiled sadly. Declan sat in the locker room, making the final call. "The funds are cleared," his broker's voice confirmed. "The acquisition is under the shell company, Apex Holdings." "Perfect," Declan said. "Prepare the deed transfer." "Sir, are you sure you want to do the reveal tonight?" "Tonight. In the ballroom. In front of the board." "Very well, Mr. Sutter. The papers will be delivered." He hung up and looked at his reflection in the locker mirror. Declan Sutter. Heir to the Sutter steel fortune. He had run away to escape the pressure, to find reality. He found it in the dish pit, in the blisters and the abuse. He found it in Sienna's eyes. He wasn't just buying a hotel, he was buying a lesson. He took out a tuxedo he had stashed in a garment bag. It was tailored, expensive, a relic of his old life. He kept it hidden under a pile of dirty laundry. Tonight, the dishwasher would die, and the owner would rise. But first, he had one last shift to complete. He put the burner phone away and put on his apron. He had to play the part until the curtain fell. The deception tasted bitter now. He went back to the kitchen, head down, eyes low. Graham was laughing with the executive chef. "I'll fire them both tomorrow," Graham was bragging. "Clean house. Save on the Christmas bonuses." Declan scrubbed a pot, the metal wool biting his skin. "Keep laughing, Graham. Enjoy the sound while you can." The trust fund kid was about to cash out. Sienna came in, her arm bandaged, carrying a bucket. "He put me on trash duty," she whispered. "In my uniform. While the guests arrive." "It's almost over," Declan promised her. "What do you mean?" she asked, pausing. "Just trust me." "Can you trust me for 3 hours?" She looked at him, confused but compelled. Yes. The hours dragged, heavy with tension and humidity. Declan and Sienna worked side by side in the scullery. The steam from the dishwasher created a private fog. My mom is sick, Sienna confessed suddenly. That's why I take the abuse. I need the medical plan. Declan stopped scrubbing, his heart aching for her. She'll be okay, he said firmly. I promise. You can't promise that, Declan. You're a dishwasher. Her words weren't mean, just brutally honest. I can promise you won't be alone, he corrected. He reached out, taking her wet, soapy hand. This time, she didn't pull away. She squeezed back. In the midst of the garbage and the noise, there was peace. A silent pact formed between the two outcasts. If I get fired, she said, I don't know what it'll do. You won't get fired. You're going to be promoted. She laughed, a short, dry sound. Promoted to what? Dumpster. To manager, he said, dead serious. She stared at him, thinking he was making a cruel joke. Don't tease me, Declan. It's not funny. I'm not teasing. You have the heart for it. The kitchen doors swung open, the banquet was starting. Waiters rushed in and out, frantic and sweating. Declan and Sienna fell into their rhythm, a perfect team. Pass, rinse, rack, slide. Pass, rinse, rack, slide. It was a dance of survival, unappreciated and unseen. But for Declan, it was the most important work he'd done. He was learning the names of the people he would save. He looked at Sienna, strands of hair sticking to her face. She was beautiful in the grime, radiant with resilience. He realized then that this wasn't just about justice. It was about her. It had always been about her. He wanted to give her the world, or at least the hotel. 3 hours, he whispered to himself. Hold on, Sienna. Just hold on. The crash came at 9:00 p.m., right before the main course. Declan was carrying a stack of plates to the line. Graham, drunk on power and stolen wine, tripped him. It was deliberate. Everyone saw the foot extend. Declan went down hard, plates shattering everywhere. Graham stood over him, feigning shock and outrage. That is it. You are a liability. Graham shouted. The music in the ballroom seemed to stop. Graham grabbed Declan by the collar, dragging him up. You are fired. Banned. Get out of my hotel. You can't touch me, Declan said, voice icy calm. I can do whatever I want. I run this place. Graham shoved him toward the back exit. Don't come back. If I see you, I call the police. Sienna screamed, he tripped him. I saw it. You're next. Graham roared at her. Get out. Both of you. He ripped the badge off Sienna's uniform. Banned. Banned for life. Trespassers. The kitchen staff stood paralyzed, fear winning over truth. Declan stood tall, brushing off his dirty apron. You want me to leave, Graham? He asked. I want you gone. You are dirt. Graham spat. Declan nodded slowly, a dangerous smile forming. Fine. I'll leave. But I'll be back. Don't bother. You'll never set foot here again. Declan looked at Sienna, who was crying silently. Come with me, he said, extending his hand. Where? She sobbed. We have nowhere to go. Just outside. I need to change, he said cryptically. He led her out the back door, into the cool night air. The heavy metal door slammed shut behind them. Banned. Fired. Humiliated. Perfect. Exactly as he had planned. Wait here, he told her, pointing to the bench. I have to make an entrance. Inside, The gala was in full swing, oblivious to the drama. Diamonds sparkled under chandeliers, champagne flowed like water. Graham composed himself, entering the room with a fake smile. He shook hands with investors, laughing at their jokes. "Excellent year," he lied. "Profits are up. Efficiency is key." He felt invincible. He had purged the rot. He took the stage, tapping the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Emerald Gala." Applause rippled through the room, polite and hollow. "We have a special announcement tonight," Graham beamed. "We are looking for new partners to expand our vision." The doors at the back of the ballroom opened. A hush fell over the crowd as a figure entered. It wasn't a waiter. It wasn't a guest. It was a man in a bespoke tuxedo, walking with purpose. He was clean-shaven, hair perfectly styled. He looked like a king returning to his throne. Graham squinted against the spotlight. Who was that? The man walked down the center aisle, silence following him. The staff lining the walls gasped. They knew that walk. They knew those eyes. It was the dishwasher. It was Declan. But he didn't look like Declan. He looked like money. Sienna stood at the back, peeking through the doors. Her hands covered her mouth in shock. Declan walked straight to the stage, ignoring the whispers. Graham's smile faltered, confusion clouding his eyes. "Excuse me, sir, this is a private event," Graham stammered. Declan didn't stop until he was at the stairs. He climbed them slowly, every step a judgment. He stood next to Graham, towering over him. "It's okay, Graham," Declan said into the mic. His voice boomed through the speakers, rich and commanding. "I'm not here for the food. I'm here for the keys." The room erupted in confused murmurs. Graham laughed nervously. "Security. Remove this drunk." 2 guards stepped forward, but Declan held up a hand. "I wouldn't do that," Declan said calmly. He pulled a thick folder from his jacket pocket. He tossed it onto the podium with a heavy slap. "What is this?" Graham hissed, sweat beading on his forehead. "A bill of sale," Declan announced to the room. "As of 8:55 p.m. tonight, this hotel has a new owner." The board members in the front row stood up. "Is this true?" The chairman asked, looking at his phone. "Apex Holdings purchased 51 of the shares," Declan said. "And I am the sole proprietor of Apex Holdings." Graham's face went white, the color draining instantly. You're the dishwasher," he whispered. "I was," Declan corrected. "I was also the auditor." He opened the folder, revealing the spreadsheets. "This is proof of embezzlement, Graham. $3 million over 5 years. Stolen from maintenance, from wages, from the investors." The crowd gasped. Phones were raised, recording everything. Graham grabbed the papers, his hands shaking violently. "This is fake. This is a setup." Graham screamed. "The bank verified the transfer," Declan said coldly. "And the police are verifying the theft right now." Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. "You can't do this to me. I made this place." "You broke this place," Declan said. "I bought the pieces." He looked at the staff standing in the shadows. "You banned me from the building," Declan reminded him. "So I had to buy the building to get back in." The logic was insane, wealthy, and undeniable. Graham backed away, hitting the edge of the stage. The trap had snapped shut. The mouse was actually the cat. And the game was over. "Who are you?" Graham whispered, terror in his voice. "Read the signature on the deed," Declan pointed. Graham looked at the bottom of the page. "Declan Sutter," he read. Then he froze. "Sutter. As in Sutter Steel?" "My father built bridges," Declan said into the mic. "I prefer to build justice." The revelation swept through the room like a wave. The dishwasher was a billionaire heir. The staff looked at each other, memories flooding back. Every insult, every kicked plate, every moment of kindness. He had been there, watching, judging, recording. Sienna leaned against the doorframe, tears streaming down. He wasn't a prince in disguise, he was a warrior. You treated people like furniture, Declan continued. You thought because they were poor, they were weak. But you forgot that the foundation holds the house up. If you crush the foundation, the house falls. He turned to the investors. Graham Wexford is fired. Effective immediately. For cause. No severance. The words rang out like a sentence. Graham looked for an ally, but the room was cold. The elite hate scandal more than they love money. They turned their backs on him, sipping their wine. Graham was alone on the stage, stripped of his armor. He looked small, pathetic, a tyrant without a kingdom. Declan took the master keys from Graham's pocket. "I'll take these," he said. "They don't belong to you." But I have a mortgage," Graham stammered. "You should have thought of that before you were cruel." Declan echoed Graham's own words back to him. The irony was a physical blow. Graham slumped, defeated, destroyed by his own rules. The police entered the ballroom, handcuffs ready. It was time for the trash to be taken out. The police escorted Graham out in handcuffs. He passed the kitchen staff on his way out. They didn't jeer, they just watched in silent judgment. The busboy he fined $20 stood tall. The chef he abused crossed his arms. Graham couldn't meet their eyes. Shame is heavy. The ballroom was deadly silent as the doors closed. Declan stood alone on the stage, the center of the world. He looked tired, the adrenaline fading. He looked at the crowd of wealthy strangers. "Enjoy your dinner," he said simply. "It's on the house." He walked down the stairs, ignoring the outstretched hands. He didn't want their congratulations. He walked straight to the service doors. He pushed them open, entering the kitchen. The silence there was different. It was reverent. The staff parted like the Red Sea. They didn't know whether to bow or to cheer. Declan walked to the dishwasher station. He picked up the apron he had thrown on the floor. He folded it neatly and placed it on the counter. "Sienna?" he called out softly. She stepped out from the shadows, eyes wide. "You bought the hotel?" she asked, voice trembling. "I had to," he shrugged. "I was banned." "You're rich," she said, the word feeling foreign. "Does it matter?" he asked, stepping closer. "It matters because you lied," she said, hurt. "I didn't lie about who I am," he said intensely. "I lied about what I have. There's a difference. The man who bandaged your arm. That's me. The man who held your hand in the trash. That's me. The money is just noise. You are the music." The kitchen staff held their breath. It was a romance novel coming to life in the scullery. Before the police car took him, Graham tried one last thing. He shouted to the press waiting outside. "He's crazy. He assaulted me. It's a hostile takeover. He slept with the staff. It's harassment." He tried to drag Declan down into the mud with him. But Declan had released the audio recordings. The internet was already listening to Graham's threats. "Success is for lions," Graham's voice played on the news. "Hard work is for mules." The public verdict was instant and brutal. Boycott Wexford began trending within minutes. Graham's last lie was swallowed by his own truth. He sat in the back of the cruiser, watching his life end. He realized too late that kindness is a currency. Back in the kitchen, Declan addressed the staff. "No more fines," he announced. "No more abuse. No more fear. Wages are doubled, effective tomorrow. And full medical benefits for everyone. Including families. Sienna gasped, her hand flying to her heart. Her mother. She could save her mother. Cheers erupted, raw and emotional. People were crying, hugging, collapsing in relief. It wasn't just a raise, it was a lifeline. Declan watched them, feeling more pride than ever before. This was better than any board meeting. This was real impact. But there was one position left to fill. He turned to Sienna. I need a general manager. Someone who knows how hard the work is. Someone who leads with kindness, not fear. Me? She squeaked. I'm a waitress. You're the only one who stood up to him, Declan said. That makes you a leader. Will you take the job? The contract was on the table, invisible but real. 6 months later, the hotel was unrecognizable. Not the building, the marble was the same, but the soul. Staff laughed in the hallways. Guests smiled more. Profits were up, ironically, because morale was up. Sienna walked the floor in a sharp suit, confident and kind. She knew every employee's name and their struggles. She was the leader Graham could never be. Declan didn't stay as the owner-operator. He went back to his world, but he visited often. He sat at the bar, watching Sienna work. She came over, pouring him a coffee herself. Table 4 is messy, she teased him. I'll get the mop, he smiled, half rising. Sit down, boss, she laughed, putting a hand on his shoulder. They weren't just colleagues, they were partners. And maybe, slowly, something more. The trust fund revealed the money, but the dish pit revealed the man. They walked out to the terrace, looking at the city. We built something good, Sienna said. We fixed the foundation, Declan agreed. Graham was in prison for fraud, his name forgotten. But the story of the dishwasher king was a legend. New hires whispered it in the locker room. Be careful who you kick, they said. You never know who owns the building. Declan took Sienna's hand, no longer needing to hide. The sun was rising, breaking the dawn. They had scrubbed the dirt away, and only the gold remained. The world judges us by our uniforms, but the truth lies in our scars. Declan proved that dignity isn't a paycheck, it's a choice. Graham learned that power without humanity is just a house of cards waiting for a breeze. And Sienna showed us that kindness is the bravest rebellion of all. If you've ever felt invisible, remember giants often hide in the shadows. We are building a community of people who see the truth. If you believe in justice, hit that subscribe button and join the family. Like this video if you've ever wanted to buy your boss company. Share this with someone who needs to be reminded of their worth. Check out the playlist on the screen for more stories of underdogs taking over. The next story will shock you even more. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the reveal. I'll see you in the next chapter.